Good evening. Over in Georgia, the Senate has released an election report which found evidence of coordinated illegal activity that was carried out in Atlanta. Now, over in Arizona, the election officials there are refusing to comply with a subpoena to audit the voting machines as well as the ballots. Over in Pennsylvania, the Trump legal team is pushing a new case to be heard by the U.S. Supreme Court. And as all of this is happening, big tech is censoring information about the election across all platforms. Let's discuss these stories together. 2020 election update, and I'm your host, Roman from the Epoch Times. Now, I'd like to start our discussion today by talking about our favorite subject, big tech censorship. Over the weekend, I logged into Instagram, and I went over to my own personal Instagram page just to scroll around and see what was happening there. And as I was scrolling, right there near the top of my page, something caught my eye. One of my posts was blurred out. You know that blur, that Instagram blur that indicates that something is fake news? Now, this really surprised me because I know all about Instagram censorship, and therefore I generally try not to post anything that's too spicy. And so I was really surprised to see something blurred out, but I forgot what it exactly was. And so I clicked on the post, and you wouldn't even believe what it was. It was a picture of those two graphs from Wisconsin and Michigan. You know the ones, I'm sure you've seen them. They show the real-time data of the election tally on election night, and they show Joe Biden's lines going straight up vertically. I'm sure you've seen that picture before. It was all over the internet. The fact checkers marked this image as being false because these graphs, quote, don't prove voter fraud. But get this, and this is what really bothers me about this whole situation. Nowhere in my post did I say that this was evidence of voter fraud. In fact, take a look. Above the picture, it says, quote, okay, so both Michigan and Wisconsin have vertical lines where Biden votes are injected in. And my comment below the picture, it said, very cool and normal. And yet this was still somehow marked as being false. And what this means, in my opinion, is that they are not just censoring the idea that this graph shows fraud. They are censoring the image itself. The image of the live real-time election results is being censored. It's being memory holed, as they call it. Maybe a few years from now, it'll even be forbidden knowledge that our kids won't even be allowed to learn in school. This is some George Orwell type stuff, in my opinion. And I guess this is a good opportunity to tell you to definitely not follow me on Instagram at Epoch Times Roman. If you do, you'll likely become a thought criminal just like me. So whatever you do not go over to Instagram and follow me at Epoch Times Roman. Now, besides this, a lot of you have seen our new documentary that we published last week talking about the election. And in my opinion, it was really good. And I saw a lot of your comments saying that you liked it as well. But of course, because of censorship here on this platform, on YouTube, we can't host it here. And so we hosted it on our website. However, we did promote it on social media, particularly on Facebook, in order to let people know about it and then come over to our website to watch it. But would you believe it? Facebook flagged and blurred out our post about our documentary for being sexually suggestive or showing partial nudity. Really, Facebook? It's a documentary about voter fraud. But you see what's happening here. When they don't have a valid reason to block something, they'll make one up. When something doesn't fit their narratives, when something goes against the truth that they're trying to enforce, they'll find a way to block it. They'll find a way to block you from seeing it. In fact, just yesterday, one of President Trump's lawyers said that YouTube removed the opening statement that he gave in front of a Senate hearing on election fraud. This is what he said on Twitter. Quote, YouTube has decided that my opening statement in the U.S. Senate, given under oath and based upon hard evidence, is too dangerous for you to see. They removed it. To this day, our evidence has never been refuted, only ignored. Why is Google so afraid of the truth? Now think about that for a moment. This platform that we're on here, this video platform called YouTube, operates in America, which enjoys the fruits of American liberty, which were paid for by the blood of American soldiers. And they are censoring the statements of our president's lawyer. Now, I'm not saying that his lawyer's statement that was made in front of the Senate is correct or whether it was false. That's not my place to judge. But if you're not allowed to even know what he said, how can you judge? How can you make up your own opinion as to whether it is correct or not? Can you see how dangerous this is? A small group of oligarchs are flippantly deciding what information that you and I can have access to. So what's the answer to all this? Now, I'm not sure, but I'm going to tell you something. I will continue to make honest news videos like these so that you can stay informed. And I hope that you can take a quick moment to smash that like button. Because when you smash that like button that's below this video, you are fighting back against the censorship, and you are forcing the YouTube algorithm to share this video out to potentially thousands of more people, letting the truth be known far and wide. Now let's talk a little bit more about the Trump legal team. In a recent interview, Rudy Giuliani, who is looking like he's recovered from COVID-19, which is great, unveiled a new strategy for the Trump legal team. He said that their new strategy will be to focus on the voting machines themselves that were used during the election in order to prove out claims of voter fraud. During an interview with Steve Bannon, here's what Giuliani said. I think we can get these accomplished, meaning the audits of the machines, despite the resistance and the cover-up of the Republican governors, the guy in Arizona and the guy in Georgia. If we had their cooperation, we could have it ended by Monday. I'm tired of dealing with them. We just push them aside, and I think over the weekend, you'll see different strategies being employed. Now, Giuliani here appears to be referring to Georgia's Governor Brian Kemp and Arizona Governor Doug Ducey. So let's talk about the situation in those two states. Let's start with Arizona. Over there, the Senate has decided to run an audit of both the voting machines as well as the scanned ballots. And in so doing, they issued 2 subpoenas in order for the voting machines and the scanned ballots to be handed over. However, the Board of Supervisors in Maricopa County, which is Arizona's largest county, something like 61% of all Arizonians live there, has decided that they will not comply with these subpoenas. They will not hand over the election machines, and they will not hand over the scanned ballots for an audit. Can they actually do that? Can they ignore subpoenas? Well, they're trying to, at least. They will be filing a lawsuit against Arizona senators in order to block the enforcement of these subpoenas. Now, the question, at least to me, is why are they doing this? Why don't they want to comply with these subpoenas, and why don't they want to audit the ballots? Well, the chairman of the board said that these subpoenas were unconstitutional and a slap in the face, although he didn't really elaborate on why he feels that way, why he feels such strong antipathy against these subpoenas. However, the Trump campaign, they think that this county board has something to hide. A campaign advisor to President Trump said that the county board waited till the very last hour, and then they went to the court to try to squash the subpoena. So they're trying to do several things here. They're trying to run out the clock, and they're trying to not share the information, which of course raises the question of what are they hiding? So now it's going to be in the hands of the Arizona courts to determine whether these machines and the ballots will be audited. Now, I personally hope that in the meantime, they're at least being kept safe and in pristine condition until a decision is made one way or the other. So until then, we'll keep an eye on these developments over in Arizona, and we'll let you know as soon as we hear anything one way or the other. If you want to read more about these subpoenas, I'll throw those links in the description box below this video for you to check out. And now let's talk about what's happening over in Georgia. A newly released report, I actually have it right here in front of me, from Georgia senators studied the November 3rd election and found evidence of coordinated illegal activity that was carried out by workers at the State Farm Arena over in Atlanta. Now, it reads in part, and it's a little bit long, but you definitely want to hear this because it is a super strong statement. The events at the State Farm Arena are particularly disturbing because they demonstrate intent on the part of election workers to exclude the public from viewing the counting of ballots and intentional disregard for the law. The number of votes that could have been counted in that length of time was sufficient to change the result of the presidential election and the senatorial contests. Furthermore, there appears to be coordinated illegal activities by election workers themselves who purposely placed fraudulent ballots into the final election totals. So what they're referring to here is that over at the State Farm Arena, where mail-in ballots were being counted, both surveillance footage as well as witness testimony found that workers stopped counting ballots at around 10:30 p.m., but then after observers and media left the room, they pulled out crates of ballots from underneath the table and resumed counting well into the night. Now, we covered that in more depth in an earlier episode, and I'll throw the link to it in the top right corner here for you to check out. And I should also mention that independent fact checkers have said that there was nothing suspicious about it, so take that for what it's worth. Now, this report also contains a great deal of testimony from poll observers and poll watchers about irregularities and problems that they saw with the election. And here's something that you should know. 2 of the poll observers who raised concerns in this report were terminated by Fulton County. Nothing like getting rid of a few whistleblowers to make the public trust you. Now, we reached out to Fulton County for comment, but have yet to hear back. Now, among the recommendations outlined in this report as to what to do next, I wanted to highlight 2. The first was to remove unqualified voters from the voter rolls, and the second was to conduct a forensic audit of both ballots and machines. Now, will either of these 2 recommendations be put into action? Probably not. Why? Well, let's go through what's happened so far in Georgia. Let's start with the removal of unqualified voters, the first recommendation. Just yesterday, an election board over in Cobb County, which is in Georgia, dismissed a request to remove more than 16,000 people from the voter registration list. The local Republican Party there was asking to remove these 16,000 people because there was evidence that they had actually moved and no longer live in Georgia. However, the local election board thought otherwise and will not investigate or remove them. at least until after the Senate runoff race. Now, in terms of conducting a forensic audit of the machines, the second recommendation in this report, that's also likely to meet with opposition. Because among other things, take a look at this. This was a memo that was written in November, but it was just leaked to the public a few days ago. What is it? Well, back in November, Georgia's election director, he sent this memo, and it looks like he actually sent it to all counties in the entire state, and he warned them that voting machine software was not subject to open record requests. So basically, as more and more of the public demanded transparency with these machines, Georgia's top election official sent out this memo saying that software updates, as well as the USB drives, none of them was to be shared with the public. Now, we reached out to the Secretary of State's office for comment, but they declined. However, with Rudy Giuliani's announcement that these voting machines will now be the focus of the Trump legal team, who knows, maybe we will start to see more transparency around them. Only time will tell. If you want to go deeper with what's happening in Georgia, I'll throw all of the links to what we just discussed in the description box below this video, including a link to this report here, so check it out for yourself. Now, let's move on over to Pennsylvania. President Trump's team is trying to reverse 3 cases that were decided by the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, which illegally changed mail-in ballot laws. And in so doing, they have officially filed an appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court in order to reverse these cases. So this is their appeal right here in front of me. And President Trump's lawyers are contending that the Pennsylvania Supreme Court's decisions were in violation of Article 2 of the Constitution, as well as in violation of the ruling in the 2000 decision from Bush versus Gore. So this is pretty significant stuff because, for one, this is the first independent Supreme Court filing from the Trump campaign, and secondly, it's seeking relief based on the same constitutional arguments that were successfully raised in Bush versus Gore back in 2000. Now, the Trump team is arguing that the decisions made by the Pennsylvania Supreme Court resulted in counting approximately 2.6 million mail ballots that were in violation of the law as enacted by the Pennsylvania legislature. Now, that's, of course, more than enough to change the outcome of the election. And in terms of next steps, the campaign... Are you tired of the media spinning the truth and pushing false narratives? Well, take a look at this. Over the last... The campaign is asking for an expedited consideration, meaning that the Supreme Court should ideally give them an answer by December 24th, which is 3 days from now. If you want to know more about this case, I'll throw those links into the description box below this video for you to check out for yourself. Now, let's talk a little bit about the pandemic relief bill. A few days ago, Mitch McConnell announced that a deal has been made on a $900 billion relief package, which of course came after months of failed negotiations. Now, according to Senator John Barrasso, the final deal includes, for one, an extension of the small business loan program, specifically for businesses that have fewer than 300 employees, and secondly, it includes a direct $600 stimulus payment to the American people. So I can't speak for everyone. However, in my opinion, after almost a full year of mandatory lockdowns, after forcing the closings of small businesses across this country, as well as after spending my entire adult life paying about 20% taxes on all of my income, I really appreciate the government deciding to send me a $600 stimulus check. Thank you. If you want to read more about the details of this relief bill, I'll throw those links into the description box below this video for you to check out for yourself. And now lastly, I want to play a bit of trivia. I'm going to read you a quote from a modern-day American politician. So this quote is recent. It was just from a few days ago. Listen to it and see if you can guess who said it. Quote, "I'd like to say very bluntly, our mission is to redistribute wealth. A lot of people bristle at that phrase. That is, in fact, the phrase we need to use." All right, you can pause the video here, maybe take a moment, think about it. All right, are you ready for the answer? Well, it's our favorite Sandinista-supporting New York City Mayor, Bill de Blasio. Listen to this clip for yourself.
I like to say very bluntly, our mission is to redistribute wealth. A lot of people bristle at that phrase. That is, in fact, the phrase we need to use.
All right, 5 points for you if you got that correct. Now, lastly, with Christmas and New Year's right around the corner, if you're still looking for a gift for someone, then I would highly recommend the Epoch Times newspaper. Right now, we are offering a gift package, which includes, among other things, this 2-part book series, How the Specter of Communism is Ruling Our World. It's an unbelievably solid series that I would recommend everybody to read. It also includes this giant FISA abuse infographic poster, which details how the FBI spied on the Trump campaign back in 2016. And it includes both a print and a digital subscription to the Epoch Times newspaper. Pretty much everything that a patriot can ask for. I'll throw those links in the description box below this video for you to get the gift package for yourself. Now, otherwise, if you haven't already, smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to this channel if you want to get honest news content delivered directly to your YouTube feed. And until next time, I'm your host, Roman from the Epoch Times. Stay informed and stay free.